American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears is Perfect Purvis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Coach Q. What's going on, Q?
Hey, we back, baby. We back.
Uh-huh. The AFF podcast is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're currently available on more than 25 different platforms. The show is also available on our YouTube channel. Wherever you listen, be sure to rate us. Anything less than 5 stars will tell us that you are a hater. It's first down. When we get a chance to start fresh and discuss whatever is on our minds. Coach Q, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, not much, man. It's been a good week. I just came back from vacation, baby.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Where do
Came
we
back.
go? Where we go?
We went to Dominican Republic. Oh, man, I had a blast, man. It was beautiful out there. You know, to everybody. This is just to everybody. Make sure you take time to yourself and refresh your body and your mind, man. You have no idea what that'll do for you. So I just want to talk about vacation, baby. We all need one. We all need it.
Those are facts, man. Those are facts. We were just talking about it on off the air. I need a damn vacation. If y'all listening to me out there, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the Maple Bowl. Real talk. Like it's been a long summer. When we in July, so it's been a month. But it's been a long summer, man. And I love the plus 30 weather too. That's what's crazy. Which plus 30 is 85 degrees, Q. People had me out here thinking that it was like helle, like hot out here. It is 85 degrees. You know what it is in Texas right now? 105. Heat index 125. But yeah, for me, I'm still trying to enjoy what summer we do have here. Just there's a lot going on. Football's in full swing. It's everywhere. The whole Europe side of the world is full mode into football right now. So it's just there's a lot going on. And if people know who I am, you know, I'm involved in a lot. So for me, it's a very trying time, but also trying to get that sun in. I'm jealous of Q going to the DR. I seen some of the photos, man. I was like, man, sure look nice on that boat out there, guys. Gosh, it's like y'all having a good time.
Good time, boy.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree, definitely. And also here in Finland now, like, and in Europe, a lot of people are taking vacation during this month. This is the time that a lot of people leave after midsummer. Vacations are, this is pretty much the off month. But when you work in the gray, this is the work month. So a little different for me. But I will try to get me a vacation in, hopefully before the Maple Bowl. But if I miss it, I miss it. Oh, well, we doing the podcast. The players of the week have been announced on our social media channels earlier this week. But of course, we want to explain our picks in depth, get outside the stats a little bit. So first, let's talk about our offensive player of the week, quarterback Brandon Gwinner of the Porvoo Butchers. Stats-wise, he was 15 for 21, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. Threw in another 109 rush yards and 3 touchdowns. Q, tell us something about what made this guy stand out this week.
You know, Brandon Gwinner is doing exactly what he's supposed to do as the leader of that team, man. Like every week I see him more comfortable. He's getting the ball to his playmakers. For a second there, they had a close one, but then he did everything he needed to do to make sure they pulled it off. So he's definitely my choice too now for the player of the week, offensive player of the week. Like he's putting it together, man. Like they don't have to score 40 points or 50 points. You literally just have to score enough to beat the other team, and that's what they've been doing. And it's going to be exciting to see what he does, you know, going into this last little stretch of the season. But he definitely showed out this game. He definitely had a good game.
Yeah, I agree. It was super interesting to watch this game because obviously the game was closer than it should have been early. And usually when a team doesn't have a lot of points, you always look at the quarterback. But as we talk about the game later, I'll talk a little bit more I don't think it was more of a Brandon Gwinner than a play calling situation. But in this game, when it came down to it, when it got to that point in the game where you're like, okay, we don't have a whole nother second half to figure this out. What we gonna do? Number 12 is the guy that is with the ball. Like he's the guy that ends up making the plays, and that just shows the level of leadership that he's bringing to this team, and the fact that they can rely on him and still be able to overcome what they did in this game just shows how great of a player that he is this year. I was going to talk about it later, but I'm just going to put this out there right now. He is putting up, performance to be in that MVP candidate every week almost. Like, if you look at, you don't want to take off and just do certain parts, but the second half of this game, I had damn near chills watching him play because he was so cool, calm, collected, and the way that he did it was nice because you got a guy who's throwing and running, and he's not overly doing either one. Look at his stats: 150 passing and 110 rushing, with 3 touchdowns in the red zone. He's the one running the ball. That makes sense. He's the guy. But he's also running it up and down the field, and he was able to balance the offense with both his legs and his arm. That's that whole complete mobile quarterback that we really like here in Finland. I can't speak on these other countries, but we just don't get a lot of quarterbacks. If they put up 300 or 400 yards, usually it's because the DBs suck or the receivers are really good, so you can't give them all the credit. But when a guy can put up good numbers passing, but also rush, it just shows he has total control of what that offense is capable of. And that's what Brandon Gwinner did. So I'll get off my soapbox and we'll talk about the defensive player now. Miles Corpening, defensive back from UNC Crusaders, who had 14 and a half tackles, 1 pass breakup, and 1 fumble recovery for an 85-yard touchdown. I got to lead off about this guy because I'm watching these games, guys, and when I'm watching the games, I'm watching, but I'm taking notes for the podcast. I'm not taking notes as like a reporter or a statistician or anything. We look at the stats after we decide who's our offense defensive player. We don't actually look at the stats until afterwards because the stats aren't why we're deciding they're the player of the week. We're looking at who's making plays. Number 1 was making plays. Yeah. I'll even be more honest to tell you, I didn't know the difference in the names of the Corpening brothers. I just knew one was number 1, one was number 5. And I knew in this game, I hadn't seen number 1 in a while. Maybe he was injured. Maybe he just wasn't playing well. I hadn't seen much of him. But in this game, he was everywhere you wanted him to be. If it was a run play, he was there. If it was a pass play, he was there. At the end of every play, whether the other team got a lot of yards or a few yards, he was there. Mm-hmm. You could not miss this guy in this game. It didn't, obviously the stats showed it. 14 and a half tackles. When I saw the stats, I was like, wow, that is crazy for a guy playing safety. He wasn't playing linebacker. He was playing safety, but you actually saw plays. And there was one time, I can't remember who ran the ball, but there was one time where he got through the line so fast that he missed the running back. Like he got through and the running back went to the right of him because he shot a gap and the running back went to the other gap. It was just perfect timing by the running back. Good play. But the fact that he was there was crazy because this, again, is a safety. And he was getting through the line of scrimmage at the same time as the ball being snapped. And it's just a crazy thing that was going on this whole game. Is like every time they needed a play to stay in this game, you saw number 1 making plays on defense, and even the touchdown. Like that was a game, like that was momentum shift. That made it look like, okay, UNC might be okay. All right, we there. And that's what he did for this team. And just big ups to Miles. Like what a great performance this week. That's all I got on it. Q, what did you think about him?
No, you're right, man. He was all over the place, man. Anytime you got a DB, that's that active. You got to have some type of success. He definitely showed up. Unfortunately, the game didn't go exactly how they wanted it, but he was there. He definitely showed.
And it also helps that he has those yellow shoes on.
Yeah,
like he stood out on that turf because you would see the yellow shoes and then something would happen. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, defensive player of the week, Miles Corpening, well deserved. Next up, we have Inside the Numbers with Chris Green, where he's going to give you some key team stats and player stats from this weekend's games.
Welcome to Inside the Numbers with your host, Chris Green. As you know, this is the part of the show where we take a look at the top offensive, defensive, and team performances. Let's start with offensive performances. First up, we've got Bryce Stancombe, quarterback of the Helsinki Roosters. He was 12 of 21 for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 11 carries for 29 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Next up, we got Brandon Gwinner, quarterback for the Porvoo Butchers. He was 15 of 25 with 1 interception for 149 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had 16 carries on the ground for 109 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. Finally, we got Johannes Johanainen for the Helsinki Roosters wide receiver. He had 7 receptions for 83 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Top defensive performances. We've got Miles Corpening of the UNC Crusaders, who had 10 solo tackles, 9 assists, 1 pass breakup, and 1 fumble recovery, which he took 85 yards to the crib. Next up, we've got Timmy Nuka of the Porvoo Butchers, defensive back. He had 8 solo tackles and 3 assists. And finally, we've got Andor Roulette of the Kuopio Steelers, who had 3 solo tackles, 2 assists, and 2.5 sacks. Let's look at the team performances. Offensively first, passing yardage, we got the Roosters coming out top with 233 yards passing. We've also got the Roosters coming out top with rushing yards of 179. And total yards, you guessed it, it's also the Helsinki Roosters with a total of 412 yards of offense on the day. Third down conversion percentage, we've got the Porvoo Butchers, who were 7 of 12, which worked out at 58.3%. Defensively, passing yards, the Helsinki Wolverines managed to restrict the Kuopio Steelers to 139 yards of passing. Rushing yards, the Porvoo Butchers restricted the Kotka Eagles to only 13 yards on the ground. And in total yards, the Porvoo Butchers restricted the Kotka Eagles to 176 yards of offense. Third down conversion percentage, the Roosters restricted the UNC Crusaders to 2 of 7, which worked out at 28.57%. And that's going to be all from me for this week for Inside the Numbers. Don't forget to check out my top 5 performers of the week on our Instagram at American Football in Finland. Join me again next week for Inside the Numbers.
Are you looking for quality football apparel and accessories at an affordable price? Reyrr Athletics is made for players by players. Head over to reyrr.se and get your drip today. That's REYRR.se. And use code AFF20 to receive 20% off all Reyrr brand products. Stay sharp. Let's talk about some of the key player performances that might not have been highlighted in the stat sheet this week. First, I like to go first, and I'm going to hit on another UNC player, the running back, new to the team, Rune Nielsen, number 41. I have not looked at his stats. I do not care about his stats. What I do know is this number 41 made runs that gave this offense a chance to be balanced. Instead of them relying on Shane Netter throwing to whoever's playing receiver at the moment, Rune was able to get the ball, get them a couple yards. Sometimes he get a little bit more than a couple yards. But either way, it kept them, ahead or even with the sticks. And it really balanced this team out and gave them the chance that they needed to win this game. It's going to help them going forward. Just want to give a little love out there to Rune Nielsen. I might be saying his name wrong because he's Norwegian. So maybe it's Rune Nielsen. I don't know. But he really stood out to me this week, just him being there. Well, I guess not being there, but him being a contributor from the running back position, which we've actually seen on a lot of these teams is really hard to do because most of these offensive lines are not very good in the Maple League. But despite that, and the Crusaders' offensive line, I would not consider them good at all. And he was still able to be effective against what is a decent defensive line in the Helsinki Roosters. But was there anyone that stood out to you in this week? Because I have a list of like 8 names, and I'm gonna run through
Somebody that I have on the list. I'm going with Nessie.
them. Okay.
Man. If anybody that obviously plays sports before know that it takes a lot of preparation to get ready for these games, physically, mentally, everything. For Nessie to step in when Chris Forcier was hurt and actually went up and was winning. Was actually winning. I believe it was 10-0 at one point.
10-0. They was up.
And I just want to give a shout out to Nessie because Nessie has been a part of that team for a long time. He's been playing football in Finland a long time, and to see him get out there and like give them a chance, like those guys love Nessie. The receivers love Nessie. He knows the offense. He was throwing like some dimes at one point, like really making it hard for Porvoo to cover them. So I just want to give a shout out to Nessie because he really came in and played and gave everything he had, man, and threw a bomb. You know what I mean? Like he was. You just usually don't expect that from any backup quarterbacks to come in and just really have some type of effect like that on the game. And Nessie actually had them in the game for a while, and for a second there, it looked like they was going to kind of like take off a little bit, but the Butchers calmed that down. But I just want to give a shout out to Nessie, man, because he actually, he came in, he threw some nice passes, he got on the board, and I think he did what his part as far as trying to give them some type of momentum by being in there. So shout out.
He definitely did. Well, Nessie, and this is no disrespect to Chris Forcier, but Nessie in this one game, that's the best shot that the Eagles have had at winning a game all season.
Yeah.
And you can really attribute it to the fact that offense moved the ball. There was not a lot of trouble moving the ball. Second half, things got away from them. But again, I'm going to focus on that first half where you're like, shoot, anything could happen. This could get ugly real quick, and they didn't let it happen because that offense they had success. Yeah, it's one of those D1 AA versus Power 5 things. So the second half, eventually the Butchers, did what they had to do. But Nessie definitely, that was a great performance by him. Since we're speaking Eagles, I was just gonna throw this out here outside the numbers. Coach Eagles, thank you for coming back after the break and competing. Okay, I know they lost; they're still 0 whatever, but I saw players out there that stood out to me, and I'm just gonna name them and try to keep it quick. But Jamarcus Henderson, D lineman. He was giving his all out there. There's a reason that the Butchers had to use their quarterback in their run game. There's a reason that Brandon Gwinner had to throw quickly and not a lot of deep downfield shots did he have time to set up and throw. And most of that reason can be pinpointed to number 89, Jamarcus Henderson. He was putting up pressure. He was playing very good on that defensive front for the Eagles to make that defense somewhat palatable compared to what they've done in the past where they've just been like tissue paper. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what happened, but I didn't see much of him in the second half, and maybe that has something to do with the second half, but I won't make those assumptions. What I'll do is I'll move on to the other defensive player for the Eagles that looked really good to me, linebacker number 7, Ate Jokinen. Before this game, I had no idea who this guy was. But similar to what we said about one of our players of the week, I saw him everywhere, whether it was to stop the Butchers or whether it was at the end of a long play. Number 7 was around the ball. To me, that tells me you got a chance because you got somebody out there hustling from the middle linebacker position to get to the ball. I do not know his stats. I do not care about his stats. I saw hustle, and I loved it. Okay, now defensively, those are the 2 guys that really made this game something that was worth watching compared to what they've done earlier in the season. I'm going to go to my other Eagles players, and now I'm going to go to the offense. I'm going to go to those receivers that you were talking about that Nessie was hooking up with. Number 11, Peter Anderson, import. I can't remember where he's from, so I won't try to guess it. But him and Nessie was vibing all game. Yeah. Like him and Nessie, like I was like, does he know him? Like Is that a secret Finnish person that has been living with Nessie? Because they was like on the same page with a lot of the throws, a lot of like the placement of the ball. Like you could see that they were on the same wavelength, and it was really good to see, Anderson get a rhythm. Like we've seen him make big plays before, but he hasn't really been able to get a rhythm with a quarterback yet. So this could be something that could be a reason why they actually win a game later this season. And then on the other side, number 10, Sampo Venämäki. Again, I'm not going to say he had a vibe with Nessie because I don't feel like it was the same, but he was making plays that you just weren't expecting someone outside of, Peter Anderson to make. I have no idea who Sampo Venämäki is before this game. I remember number 10 being on the team. I know that, but this game, he really stood out as, that compliment. They couldn't just load up and say, oh, we got to stop number 11. We got number 10 over here. And fortunately for him, he usually was on the side where he had Finnish counterparts. And he just proved that, I might be better than these Finnish guys. Butchers, yeah, I said it. You know what I'm talking about. I'll get to y'all later about that. But yeah, that's 4 players from the Eagles that stood out to me. Like legitimately, I had to talk about these guys because they really made a huge jump as a team. And some of these guys just really left off the page. That's 5 players if you count Nessie, right? So good job, Eagles. I guess that's what I would say. If you're listening to my voice, you're now part of the AFF community. But don't be shy about supporting us. Head over to our website and order some AFF swag. Get a t-shirt for this beautiful summer weather, or a comfy hoodie you can rock all year long. And if you really want the drip, scoop up one of our limited edition snapback caps. Everything you need to represent the AFF community can be found on our website at americanfootballinfinland.com/merch. We all know the results of last week's game, but let's explain which teams won their game compared to which teams lost the game. And again, when we talk about this, obviously one team won, one team lost, but when you're watching the game, you kind of feel like, okay, they might have won, but the other team really lost it. So that's what we're going with. And we'll go with the Roosters versus Crusaders for the first game, and I'll let Q take this one.
Yeah, okay. So Roosters, Crusaders, Bryce Stancombe pretty much, led them to this victory. It wasn't what we all expected it. That's what I'd say. It's pretty much I want to say stat game for them, but it's a game that you want to use to kind of work on things, try to fix your execution. You want to get some younger guys that haven't maybe got any playing time in the season. You want to get them in there. You just kind of want to polish up things and get ready for your next game because they have a pretty important game coming up. So Roosters, Crusaders, I won't dwell on it too much. Crusaders are fighting. They doing the best they can with what they got.
They were winning. Were winning.
It's like for a second, like that's what you want. Like you to get that feeling. Even if you don't win the game, you can your team like that, just that feeling alone, it takes you into the next week or the next week of practice. And the guys that are trying to get better, they take that and they look at it as like a victory, like a moral victory, like, hey, we were up more.
Moral victories. That makes me laugh. It's funny.
I've been on a losing team, not just like 5-5 team. I've been on an 0-something team before, and I remember how it feels when you just losing every game, and sometimes it's easy to like fall into this slump of like you don't even expect to win or nobody gets up to really play. You got 1 or 2 guys that are trying their hardest, and everybody else just kind of go through the motion. So I think any team playing against the Roosters in that situation, sometimes you kind of get a little intimidated, or maybe you just don't feel like you got hope. But to even be up on them at a point in the game is still something to look towards. Like, hey, we've done it before. We can get better. And I just looked at it that way. I mean, the Roosters are obviously a way stronger team, more put together. They're more organized. They're just polishing right now, getting ready for the latter part of the season. So Roosters and Crusaders, obviously Roosters won the game.
You're being nice. That's cool. I'm not going to be nice. UNC was up 28-16 with 8:55 left in the third. 28-16. And they ended up losing, 42-28?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let that happen. It's football. It's not basketball. You're up by 2 scores and you lose by 2 scores. So that's what four uncontested scores that you let happen in a quarter, a little bit over what 9 minutes. What is that, like 3/4 of a quarter?
Yeah.
Like a quarter and 3/4. Like that just shows that the team isn't a team. It's one of those things where you get lucky. That's how you got up. And then if you don't get lucky, you end up losing it, which is what happened. UNC, both of these teams look sloppy to me. And I'm going to put this out there on the Roosters too. I know it's UNC, so I feel like they didn't come out how they should have. I think they might have underestimated the talent of UNC based on like the organization of UNC, if that makes sense. You know, as a team, UNC it's not what you want. But they have some players. I mean, we mentioned Miles Corpening earlier. You know, he had that 75, 85-yard touchdown fumble recovery. Like, they made plays in that first half, and that's how they got up. But just like a team that's never done it before, that's how you end up losing. I don't think UNC knew how they got ahead, so they didn't know how to stay ahead. And I think the Roosters are the Roosters, and they're like, okay, so we underestimated them, but we won't do it for the rest of the game. And then the Roosters went to business. It was a good game because of the score changing type of thing. But I feel like both of these teams did not play well. Neither one of these teams looked like a playoff team. Even though in the second half, the Roosters did good work out there. They did business. But I still was there's some things about it that I'm still not sure about what's going on with the running back situation.
Yeah,
I get that, you know, Lassi Patanen is the future or he's whatever you want him to be, but looking at the way that they play, Ato Mikkonen, he's a better fit. He's a better fit because he's a pure runner. He's not trying to score a touchdown every time. He's not doing a million spin moves, and he's going to get you your yards. You don't really need a play breaker type running back when you have somebody like Bryce Stancomb that can move the ball through the air. Like, a good running game is what they need. Ato Mikkonen is more a reminder of what you had before when you had Kari Pajärinen, the older brother. And me personally, that's what I would like to see. The consistency. He gets better as the game goes on. He gets to see more because he's running the same lines. It's not a random route when he has the ball in his hand. So he can actually develop as the game goes, similar to somebody like Christian Powell and Anthony Reasonover, who you see first quarter to third quarter, they just get better. I don't know why the Roosters keep, rotating. Obviously, they have their own reasons, but that political stuff ain't got nothing to do with me. So I don't like it, and I think it's holding them back from being a better and more consistent offense. And I want to keep talking about the Roosters offense because I feel like it's developing, and that's good for them because it started out not as great as we would like it to be, but they are developing. It was really good to see Johannes Johainen back in the fold, catching passes, getting yards, what we're used to seeing. Maybe him and Bryce have been working more together. I feel like earlier in the season, they just weren't on the same wavelength. So now that they're, it looked like they were on the same page, similar to what I said about Nessie and Peter Anderson. If those two are on the same page, this offense can go. And that's not even talking about the French guy in the Colt, who had a big play still. Put him back. He's back in the mix. I think he was injured a couple of weeks ago, but with both of them, their receiving core is now looking legitimately like a receiving core, which is good for them because you have a really great quarterback in Bryce Stancomb, and he just needs some guys to catch it. And finally, I think I didn't see Emery Polly playing offense. Like, I think they finally said, hey, we actually have enough receivers that can make plays that we don't have to use DBs, which is always a plus in my book. But last thing I'll say about the Roosters, something I saw that was really interesting was when they had their run plays and they pulled their offensive linemen, UNC was very unsound in their gap control, but they were able to mess up a couple of plays just by, shooting the right gap when the Roosters are pulling linemen. And the linemen are seeing someone shoot the gap as they pull, And instead of taking that person, they just continue on the pool. Like they didn't see him. And
Yep.
I don't know if maybe that's just me. I mean, I've played football before. I have a history of it. I was always taught, even from a young age, working with linemen, you don't let anybody cross your face. Like, if you got an assignment and someone crosses your face, that becomes your assignment. Because most likely that person's gonna make the play, not whoever you're going to. And if the person you're going to makes a play, then it's okay because someone crossed your face. Coach always says, well, someone crossed your face. They're letting people cross their face and just, okay, oh well, that ain't my job. I don't know if that's maybe how they're teaching it out there or if it's just mistakes, but I see the mistake part if it's a mistake. And I feel like it's one of those things where the youth of the team is showing. Again, I feel like I went overboard again, but I have a lot of notes on these games because these games were good this week. And I feel like the Roosters, they got a lot of good things going, but this was one of those things where I'm just like, if they play a different team, that these plays can be ruined by these old linemen not understanding that you can't just let people through just because you're pulling. Like, you're not pulling if you let someone go in front of you. But yeah, that's all I got on the game. I think that both these teams are not playoff teams right now. Yeah. And I feel bad saying that about the Roosters. I feel like the Roosters should be a playoff team, but I can't just sit out here and say they should after what we've seen so far this season.
That's very bad that you said that. But okay.
What are the Roosters? What are they, 3-3? Is that you 500? You told me that's playoff? I mean, they might slide into fourth place with that.
It's not the typical what we see, but it's hard sometimes. Like you said, coming out when you feel like maybe you're better than the team coming out. So it's like, yeah, 28-16. In any other situation, you would think the team that's up is going to win. But also the Roosters showed that, like, this is why we're the Roosters too, because we can be in situations like this and make it look.
You doing this against a team called UNC Crusaders, though. Don't get it twisted, Q. They not doing this against the Steelers or the Wolverines or even the Crocodiles.
That's not even.
Those are playoff teams. That's what I'm saying.
Steelers yet, because their time is going to come. But don't throw them in there like they're just dumb.
I'm just saying, right now, they are not a playoff team. And if let me check the standings real quick. They're in what, 5th place, which is not the playoffs. Because they're 500. And one thing you can say about that is they shouldn't have lost to the Crocodiles, which I said.
Yeah.
If they win that game, they're 4-2 right now instead of 3-3. And they're actually in second place because they'd be 4-2 and everybody else 3-2. So yeah. But like you said, they're still the Roosters. Like, they're down 28-16. Most teams don't come back from that. But when you're a team that's as talented and as good as they potentially are, you can do that. What I'm saying is they don't show that enough to be a playoff team right now, and they're not. And I say that with a heavy heart. I like the Roosters. Y'all know I'm a Roosters, I'm not a Roosters guy, but I think I chose them to come in second place this year. I think I predicted them to come in second. So yeah, but I gotta talk about what I see now. What I see now is a team that doesn't consistently do what they're good at. It hasn't really found themselves yet. But you do have all season. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if you have all season to slide into the playoffs.
Yeah,
might want to start, chalking up these dubs so that
this game coming up is important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But let's hop to the next game. Who do we have? Butchers versus Eagles. Excuse me. I'll take this one. Butchers versus Eagles. I felt this was probably my favorite game of the weekend. And you guys heard me talk about the players from the Eagles that really stood out. Brandon Gwinner was our player of the week. In my opinion, the Eagles lost this game. And again, that's me being very critical. If you're winning a game and then the other team wins, you lost it. I don't care. Like, if you're going back and forth, that makes sense. But what was it? Was it 10-0 at half? Was that this game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 10-0 at half. I know that's not a lot. It's not a comfortable lead, but it's still a 2-score lead. And then the Eagles come out in the very first play of the second half and turn the ball over. At that point, it was a wrap. Like I knew that the Butchers were going to win. And it's super interesting in this game because I felt like the Eagles had everything going for them right in the first half. You know, they pretty much the offense was moving. Nessie and Peter Anderson, they're working. They're really on the same page. They're vibing. They're able to pass the ball. Can't run as well as you would want, but they're using quick passes to keep the defense on their toes. You know, Nessie's getting out very fast, so the pressure up front wasn't getting to them, and they were able to move the ball. They had guys that made plays in this game. Like I said, the number 10, Sampo Venamaki, shows up out of nowhere, starts making plays. So the Butchers have to play them even. And again, the Butchers defense just not great in the secondary side. So it got to that point where the Eagles are up. The Eagles are up, and they can take the credit for it. I still feel like the Butchers were the better team, and they're the reason that the Eagles were up. But the Eagles got to take that. Like, if you're in a situation where you're not the better team, yet the better team is making mistakes, you got to hold on to that so that now they understand the consequences, and they let them off the hook. What was it? Was it Danny Green that said it, the coach? They were who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. We let them off the hook. The Eagles had them shook. They had them shook, came in the second half, did what the Eagles do, fumbled the ball. And after that, I mean, momentum is a huge part of American football. The Butchers played bad in the first half. There's a lot of mistakes they made. I feel like there was a point in the game where it was like 4th and 1 for the Butchers, and they ended up having some penalties, and then it turned to 4th and 21, and then they miss a field goal. So instead of them scoring a touchdown, they end up with 0 points and end up being down 10-0 at half. That's one of those situations where the Eagles did nothing to make that happen. Nothing. Like, all you did was be on the field. So you got lucky. But if you get lucky, you got to use it. And all they had to do in the second half was come out, move the ball a little bit, and they would have been on the same page. But that immediate turnover had changed the game. After that, the Butchers were like, okay, so we were down by 2 scores. We just scored. And now it's basically we're down by 3, and we still have 2 whole quarters. And then Gwinner went to work, as Gwinner does. I want to talk about the play calling for the Butchers. In the first half, I feel like it took too many deep shots. You saw a lot of incomplete passes that were down the field on like post and vertical routes. And it wasn't one of those things where, you know, oh, well, he's just waiting all day and then throwing. Like, he's going through his progressions, but those are where the ball needs to go. The Eagles are in prevent defense all the time. Like, they know their defense is not good. They play damn near 10 yards off, so they want you to throw deep routes. In the second half, Butcher started hitting them with short intermediate routes. Miko Sepinen shows up in the second half, getting all the first downs. He's barely running anything over 8 yards because he's a route runner, and it works. But early in the game, they weren't doing those type of stuff. So it's kudos to the Butchers for adjusting at half and saying, hey, this is what we got to do to beat this team. We can't just out-talent them, which is what I really think they were trying to do in the first half. I think they were just trying to say we're better than the Eagles and we're going to beat them, and they weren't able to. And that's good for the Eagles. The Eagles progressed in this game by being able to take advantage of that, but a lot of it was pure luck that the Butchers were giving away the game. But again, back to my original point, if you're winning 10-0 at half, it's different 10-0 first quarter. 3 quarters is a lot of game, but it's halftime. You up by 2 scores. You get the ball first. You got to find a way to get that win. And they just, you know, mistakes happen, but that's why you're 0 and whatever right now. So that's my main thought on it. Yeah. What did you think about this one?
No, you said some.
I know I had a lot of notes on this game. Sorry.
I seen the game is you know, Brandon Gwinner is the clutch player for the Butchers. I believe, you know, when the goal line, certain plays, I think you should know he's going to keep the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a hard runner in the red zone. You can kind of tell, like, you know what, he's going to run the ball. But it's almost like the defense doesn't know that. it's like you throw a little bit of better coaching in that game, and maybe Coca somehow is in a better position to win the game. Like you said, once a team like that gets into that second half and you kind of just maybe wear down or you just kind of lose that momentum, then you got a team like the Butchers who feed off that and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna take off now. Now we're gonna get on the board a little more and then go on and pull away, and that's what they did. But maybe the Eagles should think about maybe playing Nessie, maybe not full time, but I think maybe they should think about implementing him until Chris Forcier can really fully be 100% or close to 100%.
I don't think Chris Forcier is coming back.
Oh, you think he's coming back? Oh, okay. Well, if he's not coming back, then yeah, the Eagles look a little better.
Yeah, the backup Nico Hanula, I think he is hurt, but his isn't like long term. But I think Chris Forcier might be out for the rest of the season. I've been told that they're moving him into a coaching role. So
okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. So this is just conjecture, but I think Nessie might be there for the next couple of weeks for sure for them. And if so, shoot.
They might look team. Honestly, they might look like a different team. Like sometimes you need a refresher. Sometimes and the player comes in the most randomest way. And I think in this game, I think the Eagles had a little more confidence than they normally do because of Nessie being in there. And that's no knock to Chris Forcier, but he just hasn't been with those guys as long as Nessie has. Mm-hmm. And guys play hard for, Nessie. I'm sure they play hard for Chris, but it's a little different when he's there. But in this game, it was just the Butchers are in a good place right now, honestly.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they're in a good place going into this part of the season because Gwinner is giving these younger receivers a lot of confidence the way he's going to it. Number 29 is going to be
Lucas Erela.
Lucas is about to be a star in the Maple League.
Yes, 2-9, baby.
He's about to be a star, man, because every game he's showing up, literally every game. And young and just hungry, and I want to see him get coached the proper way and him develop into a Miko Sepulveda or better. You know what I mean?
Miko looking like fine wine out there too, though. Gosh.
Like when they need a play, Gwinner is getting the ball to them too. One of them two.
Yeah.
So and then I think it was just a good game by the Butchers. The Butchers there's times where they kind of look a little sloppy, but then when you look at it and you see the plays, like Brandon Gwinner is right there with them in the chemistry with the receivers. Like he knows exactly where they're going to be. He's throwing it to them, and they pulled off a game, man. The Butchers, like at the beginning of the season, I did not know the Butchers would look like this right now.
They look good. They look good.
Like,
but I'm going to tell you though, you know who they look like? Dallas Cowboys be looking good. Dallas Cowboys be looking real good during seasons.
They do.
At certain parts, they be looking real good out there. So, the story is not yet over, Butchers. Yeah. And I will keep doing this all season too. Because they're a good team. And I've said it, they're a playoff team, but they need to be more, and they can be, but this was a perfect game of it too. That first half, how you come out like that. I know new coaches, they got new imports, new blah, blah, whatever. I don't have time for excuses. I need results. But they got the win, and that's the result you really want, right?
What I like about the Butchers, the imports are active. I can see the imports making an impact on the games. And maybe not all, but the main imports are like showing up every week and trying to show up every week. And that's what I like to see. When I look at film and I watch these games, I try to see what are your imports doing. The Finnish guys are the Butchers right now. They're the Finnish offense besides Brandon Gwinner is a Finnish offense. Like they're making.
You're right. That is true.
Yeah, like they're making it happen. Now some of these other teams, I don't really know. Like I'm not really seeing why certain teams sign certain people. I'm not going to say their names, but I don't understand why they sign certain people.
I'll say it. because I'm here for everything. First name I'm gonna say Martin Emos for the Wolverines. I no disrespect to Martin, I think he's a great guy, but they don't need him.
Yeah.
Be out there. Honestly, that's the only like import receiver I know. Most of the teams got finished guys.
Yeah.
But I think about it. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head any other teams that have import receivers. I mean, the Eagles have an import. I think Anderson's an import. I think he's from Norway or the UK or something. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to like say that. But besides those two, and of course, I mean, all the receivers except for one from the Wolverines are foreign. The Steelers technically have an import receiver if you count Isaac Marshall, their slot, but he lives here. But I mean, technically, he's not. But he's also not their like number one or anything. So yeah,
this is imports overall, like not just receivers.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I went on a tangent. My bad.
Yeah, not just receivers. I mean imports overall. When you get to this point in the season, which I keep putting at this point in the season, where you now have to separate yourself from the rest of the teams and get ready for the playoffs. And I feel like some teams are doing that right now. I believe the Butchers and the Crocs are the teams that look like they're getting better week to week.
Yes, the team or the imports or whoever's the actual players on this team are developing.
Like, yes. And that's right now, that's the only team that I see that's happening with, because everybody else week to week, I have no idea what they're going to look like.
True.
The top teams, I don't know what the Steelers are going to look like. It's like one game, they might score 40. Next game, looking like this is all you got. Like,
true. That is so true.
And the Roosters' offense is like, all right, now what are y'all doing to us? Like, is this playing? Because right now, the top teams that are supposed to win, you just don't know what you're going to see week to week. So the Crocs and slowly the Crocs, I said it's the Crocs that like are going to be, I think a surprising, like people are like focusing on these other teams. And then here you go with the Crocs like sliding in there.
Yeah, like, let's throw this out there too. People act like the Crocs aren't in second place.
Yeah.
Like they are in second place. They only have the one loss to the Steelers. But again, the Wolverines, their conversation would always be, well, we lost to the Steelers twice. Well, you lost to the Steelers twice. That's on you. But the Crocodiles, they're in second place right now. And obviously we're not talking about them because they don't have a game this week, but you said it. They're developing. They're growing. You can see it.
And like I said, to make back to my point, the Butchers are just getting better week to week, and that's what you want. And that's what happens. They win. They get up with the W, and they got it. And now we on to the next.
Yeah, I won't talk too much about them Cowboys, but yeah, a good win for them, and they played well, just like we said. So let's just hop into that next game, which is the real meat of the show. Try to keep this under a 20-minute discussion because there's a lot to talk about. Steelers versus Wolverines. We're both gonna say who won or lost because we know how it's going. But who do you think won or lost this one?
I believe the Wolverines lost this game.
Whew, I'm so glad you said it.
Any football night, I'm not even going to say that. I know a lot of people feel like we're biased to certain teams. They feel like I'm biased to certain teams. But let me get this straight. I was only with the Roosters 1 year. So for all the people that this is you're a Roosters guy, like y'all need to look at who I used to play for. Like I was anti-Roosters before that year. So I'm a football like enthusiast. You know what I mean? I look at it, I'll say it that way. I watch football, I watch film, I break down film. I actually look at it. So what I'm saying is Wolverines, there's I don't know if you want to say one word or two word. I don't know how you want to space it out or anything. Field goals. Goals.
Oh man.
It's the most simplest thing in the world. Like at the end of the day, when a person says this, it's the small things, when you're in a relationship and the girl says it's the small things that matters. and we just kind of as men be like, whatever. Like at least I do this, I pay the bills, and it's like she says, it's small things. So this is what I'm saying to the Wolverines. It's the small things. These small things like field goals are like termites to a season. They're literally termites to your season because it's no reason why you should even be in the like. If the game just goes how it goes, you still win the game.
Yeah, they be in overtime.
You still win the game. Like you're leaving in a game against a team like this where you know it's going to be close. It's not even it's a front seven battle, is what it was. A front seven battle of whose front seven is stronger than the other.
Yeah.
Both teams look sloppy at points in this game. But the Wolverines, I say it was probably 2 plays. It was 3 plays in this game that I looked at. And one was RJ's fumble before halftime.
Okay.
The Wolverines scored there. They go up 12 or 13-0 before halftime.
Yeah, I got that same one. What's the second play? I feel like we got the same 3 plays. That's why I want to hear yours.
Well, the other 2 for me are field goals.
Oh.
Well, I'll say field goal because they didn't try it the second time. The second time they went like zone read. They let Barry keep it on the goal line. Like it was like just a weird kind of like going for 2 play because maybe they didn't trust that they could kick the field goal, so they just went for 2, didn't get it, and it was just kind of like, wow, another stalled. Like these are, and now Corpio is like, we're still in the game. Like all we need is a touchdown. Like we're pretty much gonna win. So I think for the most part in this game, the Wolverines, they got a lot of new players that added to the roster. And it's their first time playing together. But I feel like they had a lot of missed opportunities in this game of offense. So if you watch the film, and I told a few of the Wolverines guys, I said, if you watch film, and it's just throwing out, I'll give any helpful hints to anybody that asks me. They should have stuck with his own read.
I respectfully disagree. You're the second person to say that to me as well. Look at
Barry. He was gashing them. He was gashing.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, sorry. I'm thinking like the basic zone read, but they were running more of like a trap counter read, which is really cool.
They were gashing them. They had like, you cannot tackle Barry on the outside with a D lineman or a linebacker. So I felt like what would happen is they'll gash him on his own, and then the very next play, we're going to spread, and we're trying to throw a stop and go. Like it was like these random plays, which I'm not knocking Coach Malley or nothing, but like there's no reason that you have the players on that offense that you have now and only score 12 points. There's no way. And it's remembrance, and I know what you're going to say, it's remembrance of 2019 or whatever, but this team right here, like with the front seven that they have and the DBs they have, I expected them to be in a close game, but Barry missed on a few paths. He missed on a lot this game, and that's just being real. I'm watching film. He missed a lot of stuff. I don't know if it was just he just wanted this game so bad that he just kind of like was just like in his mind maybe or whatever. But if you watch the film, you can see he missed on a lot. And so, and when you do that, you give a team like Corpio, a good team, you give them a chance to win. And that's what they did. If you watch the game, Corpio literally, and I came to dream, I love you to death. Your defense is stout. I'll give you that. The defense is stout. Corpio held it down for the most part. But if all y'all plan on doing is giving the ball to Reason over for the rest of the season, that's not going to get you a championship. I can guarantee you. This not going to get you a championship.
I don't know, man.
It's not going to start the show now.
Well, think about it. This is the closest 2 games they've had have been against the Wolverines, and they won both of them. So logic would tell you that if you play them in a championship a third time,
they're probably going to be close. Yeah.
Reasonable might not play great, but good enough to win. I would say yes.
Also, I feel like I won't say it's not going to be. I'm not going to say it. it shouldn't be enough.
It should.
It
You're right.
shouldn't be enough, is what I'm saying. Because they still have to play, and teams still have to defend him. And I'm not knocking Reason over, but I can see the physical part of it. It's like he's such a strong running back that he can take this ball 25, 30 times a game, and he's going to eventually break. Now, another play, and I'm going long. Another
No,
play.
you're fine. Stay with it. I love it, man. I love it.
Second and seven. This is after RJ's fumble. Second and 7 on the goal line, red zone. They run, I don't know, some kind of zone or whatever. They get penetration in the backfield. Wolverines missed the tackle for loss. Now, Reason Over has maybe 5 defenders trying to tackle him. He breaks all 5 tackles. Now, I want somebody, I wish I could do it.
Is you talking about that touchdown run?
Touchdown run.
Oh my God. I got to stop you because I'm going to read you my goddamn notes. Okay. This is exactly what my note says, word for word. Wolverines kept Reason Over under 5 yards per carry, which is all you can hope for because he made 5 people miss on that short touchdown. Some things are undeniable. Like, that's my notes. That's exactly what I got typed out. That's why when you said the 5 tackle, I was like, is he talking about what I'm talking about?
Yes. He plays. And the thing that irked me about this, now Reason Over exactly what he was supposed to do. The thing that irks me about a play like that is because I look at the rest of the defense that weren't on that side.
Yep.
Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, what were you doing? You just thought somebody was going to tackle him. You thought they had him.
Exactly.
Why do you think they had him? You need that backside pursuit.
Exactly. So what I'm getting to is accountability for the Wolverines. What I'm getting to is like once you get to a certain point in your career, or once you get in a certain point in your life, it's a mental thing whether or not you want to run to the ball. I can scream as coach, run to the ball, but it's in you. Now, selfishly, if you don't run to the ball, that's on you, but you're hurting your team. And that's what happens when anybody knows when you're playing against a running back, what does all the coaches say? Surround the ball, run to the ball. Run to the ball because you know he's going to break tackles. You know one person is not going to bring him down. But here you are on the goal line now. On the goal line, it's like 40 seconds left in the half at this point. Everybody should be running to the ball. Like, make this as hard as possible for him to get a touchdown. He should never. I'm not saying he should never just run over people, but come on, you got like,
you know how long it takes to make 5 people miss? Like, you know how long it takes? It takes so long that if you're on the other side of the field and you're jogging, you should be able to make it over there.
Exactly.
So if nobody was on the other sideline, somebody should have been able to make it over there to help. Nobody did.
Yeah, and then you get to you get the tackle for loss. Now you're at a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situation.
And you don't get the ball no more.
So now they maybe have to use a timeout. Now it's a little harder play call because passing wise, Corpio really hasn't been doing that much. I mean, here and there, Deans, but like Tino Dongo needs to go back on offense now. and I'm saying because I expect Corpio to score 30 and 40 points against the Crusaders, the Butchers, teams like that. I expect that. But when you get against the teams like with the athletic DBs, your receivers do what? Now he did hit them deep late on a stop and go, which is my next point. You got a DB out here who's bailing. He's doing a bail technique, almost like a cover 3 bail technique, and gets beat on a stop and go.
I got to interject because I got Kobe Burton down on my notes as well. He got beat on that one play, but he was guarding Hannes Harju all game, and Hannes had 2 catches, and that just happened to be one of them. So I agree that play is horrendous, but as all DBs know, it happened every once in a while, and it just so happened that his was super important.
Biting on though,
but
my thing
because he if you blanket a guy all game, eventually he gonna beat you, and that's what happened. I would actually go even further and say, where was my pressure? If he's biting on it, maybe he expected there to be pressure, so he expected a fast throw. Defense got to work together. I'm gonna protect Kobe Burton on this call right here because I've seen him all game hold this receiver to nothing. So we can't just,
But no. I'm not saying
one play doesn't make him a bad player. That's all I'm saying.
It's not making you a bad player, but it's situational awareness. I expected more out of you because you're up. You're up at this point in the game. What are you biting on, though? That's the part I'm getting. What are you biting on? You can let them throw a hitch. You can let them throw a hitch because you can break on the hitch and make the tackle. But you're breaking like he's been throwing hitches on you all game.
True.
You're breaking like you just know for a fact he's going to throw the ball. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what the difference.
Be hard on him.
Yeah, that's the difference between the great DBs and like good DBs because they recognize the situation. Like this man he hasn't been hitching you all day for you to be breaking on a hitch. Like there's no point of that. So that's he should have never been bailing for the first part. He should have never been bailing because if you're sitting where you're safely supposed to be sitting 5-6 yards, you never go for the hitch anyway. What's the name? He's not the type of quarterback that pump fake like the real pump fakers who in NFL. I say you got the guys who can palm the whole ball and actually look like they're throwing it. Like that's hard to do for most. And Bradley gave you a shoulder. He hit you with the shoulder fake. He didn't even do the ball fake. He pump faked it with the shoulder. What are you biting on? Is he a gunslinger? Is he gonna make that hit to come from that low, that fast? That's what I'm saying. Like you have to know it's situational awareness. And it irked me because being an XDB, I feel like coaching wise, you should know this. You should know like we're already up. I can't give up anything big. So I'm not gonna break on anything. I'm not gonna break on anything. Like you're in a safe place to make a tackle on the hitch, but you're looking at him also. Like you're looking right at him. So I just felt like that was a heartbreaking like touchdown right there. That was a heartbreaking touchdown because he did play good all game. He was there. He was, 2 catches. I'll take that. But when I really need you. Mentally, you make a mental mistake. You don't make a physical mistake. You make a mental mistake. And that's where it hurts more than anything because this is something that should have been said to you, prior to the plays or prior to the game. Like, hey, guys, we cannot give up anything big. Like, give them the short stuff. We'll corral on them, make the tackle, but make it hard for them. But don't break on the stop and go when you really didn't have to break on it.
Yeah, but you can get lost in the sauce out there when if what you're saying, like I'm agreeing with what you're saying. If there's no one, updated and trying to keep you, because situational awareness is great, but if you're playing in what it looked like what the Wolverines were doing, you got a guy, I'm guarding this guy all game. I'm locked in. I'm guarding him all game. Someone probably need to come and tap and be like, hey, it's 3rd down, or hey, it's 4th down. We can get off the field because he probably was in that type of zone. It's like, hey, we're up now, so we don't have to lock him. We can open the door a little bit, let it jiggle. But that's the type of stuff that you're talking about, that situational awareness. I think it doesn't just come from the players, but like you said, if you're an import,
that's something.
That's a finished receiver, right? So then what we're saying is that should never happen.
Eric is down in the box. Eric is even your safe. Like you don't even have any safety hope. You're by yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, another thing. It's different if, okay, maybe you got safety help over the top that somebody can possibly help you. You know what I mean? But Eric is walking down almost man to man with his receiver. So I understand the bail technique of it, but my part is, what did you bail for if you were going to break? Because most of the time when you're doing a bail technique, you're planning on them throwing the ball deep. You're trying to get deep fast. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to show that you're in man, and then on a snap, you're bailing out of there, which you're not expecting anything short when you bail. So why are you breaking on the hitch? You know what I mean? That's DB 101. That's all I'm gonna just say. That's DB 101. But to get past him, he did play a good game. They did, pretty much stop their passing game. But overall, the Wolverines should have won this game. They should have won this game. and that's that you can say is knocking Corpio, but like Corpio, what did Corpio really offer up to say that they weren't? Like they did enough to like, all right, well, we won the game, but it's no way that they're in that meeting, in the offensive meeting right now today saying, guys, that was a great game. There's no way you say it. Like
no,
and,
not at all.
and any other coaches that's in the Maple League that plan on beating the Steelers need to watch this game. You need to watch it because
I don't think a lot of the other teams could do what the Wolverines did, in my opinion.
Maybe not, but you never know. Like, you never know.
True that. You never know until you try. Let me throw in my 50 cents because I only have a few notes. I don't have nearly as much as from the other games, but I do want to talk about what you started with, which was the field goals. It's so funny because I didn't write anything down about the field goals, but I did watch the game. And just one major thing that stands out to me about the field goals, especially with the Helsinki Wolverines, is that when you look at most of the teams in the Maple League, teams, their kickers, their punters, even their holders are usually the actual starting quarterbacks, which is crazy. But usually like the punter and the kicker is the receiver doing it, as well as playing in the game. The Wolverines have a punter who his only job is to punt and hold for kicks. And they have a kicker whose only job is to kick. So you got one job. Holder, you got two. I give you that. But the kicker got one job, and he's the most inconsistent. I'll stop. Sorry, I apologize. He might not be the most inconsistent, but he's been pretty inconsistent for the Wolverines over the years, for at least the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, last 3 seasons. And he was, again, inconsistent. When they go to kick an extra point, you do not know if he's going to make it. And that's his only job. He's not a linebacker. He's not a defensive end. He's not a receiver. He's not a running back. He's a kicker. And he can't make kicks. You said it's an easy job. I don't believe it's an easy job, but I do believe that if it's your only job, it shouldn't be hard. I know the kicker from I think the kicker from the Steelers, I think he missed his too. But I also think he's a defensive back. So I'm willing to give him a little slack. But you got a guy who his only job is to kick. He comes to the games to kick, and then he can't make a kick. It's a damn shame. But that's all I'm going to say about the kicker, because kickers are kickers. But again, this is one reason why the Wolverines, in my opinion, are not a complete team, because you have people who have one job and they can't do that one job right. That means you have a bigger issue. But I'm just going to jump into my notes, man. I'm just going to jump into my notes because we've been on this game long, as you know it. But first note, opening drive, 5.5 minutes for the Wolverines. Didn't score. 5.5 minutes. Didn't score. I need to put out my disclaimer. All my notes are on the Wolverines. I have no notes on the Steelers because the Steelers played how I expected the Steelers to play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I also need to go on record and say this. Damn, I shouldn't have started with my notes, but I got to go on record and say this. I have chosen the Steelers to win the Maple Bowl. I still believe the Steelers will win the Maple Bowl. In this game, I believe the Wolverines were the better team. I can say that with full confidence, and I still think that the Steelers winning is how it would have shook out. But after watching this game, the Wolverines were the better team on the field. But the Steelers were the winning team on the field. So winning is a little bit different than being better, because they were the winning team. And I still feel like if they were to play again, the Steelers would be the winning team, because some things are just, it is what it is. But back to the notes. 5.5 minutes and you don't score any points. You know why they don't score any points? They get sacked. Why they get sacked? Anytime the Wolverines get in a situation where they have to pass, they O-line crumbles because they don't know how to block nobody. I know they brought in some new imports. I don't know what that does for them, because against one of the best defensive fronts in the league, it does nothing. Yanni Lindquist, Akeem Allen, I don't know number 40's name. I'm so sorry. But they stayed in the backfield with Jabari all day.
All day.
Anytime the Wolverines were in a situation where you knew it was a pass, there was no chance. And I know you said earlier, Jabari, a lot of his throws were off. How can your throws be on when you're always under pressure? Always. You rarely saw him sit, take his drop, and throw, because he would sit, take his drop, and then have to move.
To the move.
Then have to avoid, and then try to get the throw out, and the timing's never on. Now I'm still talking about the Wolverines, okay? I love like what you said with the zone read that they were doing, where it was a quarterback counter trap situation. They always had a pulling lineman, so Jabari kind of had a two-way go. He would go straight downhill, A gap, or he would go down like it was A gap and then bounce outside. That's his strengths. On that goal line play where he didn't score, that wasn't the play. The play was actually for him to just run outside, and that's a problem. He's not a lateral runner. If you force Jabari Harris to run laterally, you're going to be able to make the tackle, because he's not shifty quick. He's fast and strong, which means he needs to get his foot in the ground and go one way. But if he's going laterally, he can't get downfield, which is what you do to stop Jabari, is actually you stretch him out and make him go lateral, because he loses his strength, and his basically what makes him great is that he's a big, fast guy. But laterally, he's average speed, easy to tackle, because he has no momentum going north and south. So that was something that they did that just didn't make any sense. But I did love that they were trying to implement him into the run game and kind of make him the run game, because when they tried regular zone and similar counter trap with Will at the running back spot, there was nowhere to go. Both of these D lines clogged the middle up well. Both D lines, and my hats go off to the Wolverines defensive line. And I got to be even more specific, because obviously their D line is great, but Benji, Olavuo, and J-Mo,
that's a big meat in there, boy.
They stopped anything. If you watch, first, I said it earlier, reason over under 5 yards a carry, that's crazy, because he's usually averaging like 9. So they had him at like 3.8 when I looked at the stats. But even away from talking about the stats, if you watch most of the plays for the Steelers on offense, when they hand the ball off to him, a lot of his A-gap plays, he has to go outside. He never got to run in between the tackles. Now, the biggest problem was the edge for the Wolverines. They didn't come flying, because they read the play, A-gap, and then he would bounce out, and then, reason over is reason over. In space, it's not very easy to tackle him, and he made people miss. But a lot of his plays were designed to go in the middle, but those three were not having it. And big ups to them all, because they're rotating in there on D line as well. But they really stopped it, and that's what really made this game harder for the Steelers. They weren't able to do what they wanted to do. And that's probably be the first time all season this has happened. Normally, you could try to stop them, but they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But with them not being able to put it in those gaps, they can't spread it laterally. But they were able to gain yards, because reason over is reason over. On plays where he should have lost 3, he gained 4.
Yeah.
On another team, might have gave him 15 on those plays. But that doesn't change the fact that he still gained 4, and now they're in a good position where they can run or pass. Yeah, and that's what really hurt them, like, for slowing down and stopping the Steelers. They really slowed them down, but didn't stop them.
Didn't stop them. Yeah, because he, like you say, just to intervene a little bit. Reason over definitely. I would love to see this man workouts, because J-Mo them aren't little guys. Like, these are big. Even Alexander, I can't say his Nana's brother. I can't even say his last.
That's Olavuo.
Yeah. So even him, J-Mo, Benji, they got a lot of big guys in that middle. So like you say, reason over still getting yards. He was still getting these little 3-4 yards. Yep. Like, he'll make contact and then still fall for 2 or 3 yards, and that's just undeniable. Like, it's like, and that's what keeping drives on. Like, they ran a screen on, I think, 3rd down one time, and one of the DBs had a straight tackle on reason over, and he kind of need him, oh, get off me for this first, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing Corpio always gonna have is a running back that can get those extra yards for you and keep those drives alive. Because without Reason over, this game definitely goes a different way,
Oh
obviously.
yeah,
But
100%.
that's a safe bet to
Yeah,
have too. Like, and that's what makes them good. Like
exactly.
like we just so happen to have him. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
It does help that he's something they can rely on.
and
Yeah, go ahead.
but the Wolverines, in that fact, they slowed them down. Maybe they didn't. Maybe Corpio didn't put up the points that they normally do. So I don't want to take away
you
from
held a
Corpio still
team
being
that
good,
scores 40 plus to what, 13?
Yeah.
Defensively, if I was the Helsinki Wolverines, defensively, I would not see this game as a failure. It's like, I don't think you could have played them any better on defense.
On defense, yeah.
Obviously,
definitely.
you got that one big play that you're like, I wish we had it back. But when you look at it as in the totality of the game, it's like, yeah, but should we really have been that close? Probably not. And now that's gonna get me talking about the offense for the Wolverines, where I feel like the play calling was okay. I agree with you that there was times where you feel like, yeah, they should have just kept running Jabari, but I think that has something to do with more of, him playing the quarterback position. If you keep running him, you're going to sacrifice anything he could do in the pass game, because a fatigued quarterback doesn't go through proper mechanics, read the field properly, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22.
Like what I'm saying, what I was trying to say with keep not necessarily like him running, but I'm saying if the zone read, in order for the zone read to work, and I mean this as far as like we've seen the zone read work before. I mean, let's go back to the Roosters, JT and Brandon. Like Brandon can run the ball, but what gets defenses on their heels is you handing it to JT, right? Doesn't mean that the running back, I won't even say JT anymore.
I don't think
running
the read is what was helping them. I think the pulling lineman is what helped them. I think when they
pulling
pulled
lineman, but the read initially is what you're supposed to be running the zone read for. Like you're supposed to be.
I don't think they were actually
reading somebody. Yeah,
I don't think it was an actual read, because the lineman always pulled wherever Jabari was going, so he never actually was going to give the ball.
Yeah,
which
so that's
which
my
won't
point.
work next time they play. Like, I think it worked this time because they had never shown it, but it won't work next time because the defense won't fall for it. Because you see a pulling lineman, you just go with the pull.
Yeah, so I felt like they should have ran zone read and just stuck with it. You're already in a close game, right? So trying to hit deep, and you can see on these plays, a lot of time they're just running deep routes, like just. And Barry don't got time to throw those routes. He just don't. And if he did get a chance to, he was off balance, throwing off one leg.
And they went away from the RPOs too. That's another thing. When they ran RPOs, they did okay. He got the ball out quickly. It was, the same thing. It's just like a zone read, but you're actually getting the ball as a pass instead of the quarterback running it, which I think is better for them. Because when you do the normal zone read, he's running sideways. But when they're pulling this lineman for whatever reason, because the lineman rarely actually blocked anybody. But it just so happened that I saw the movement and Jabari would find a hole, which is great. But you would wish that your running back could do the same. But I've seen them try the same play with the running back and didn't work.
And
I don't know if that's the running back or the scheme or the coaching. I'm not 100% sure.
It's the scheme of it. It starts with the scheme of it, because what you're trying to accomplish by running these plays. Like if you're just saying we're gonna fake giving it to James every play, Will every play, and let the Barry keep it. Like, what are you trying to do by that? Because the only thing that's gonna do is make Barry tired. You know what I mean? So you have to give it to Will enough for the defense to not know that they don't know who's getting the ball, because you've been giving it a lot all game and you've been keeping it a lot all game.
That would be the difference in these two teams, is that in this game, you felt like Reasonover wasn't being, successful, but they kept feeding them. And that's something that the Wolverines don't do with Will or the other running back, actually.
It's more like if Will don't, it's almost like if Will don't break for a 40 or 50 yarder in his first few runs, they just go away from even feeding him like that. This man is a good running back. He's a great running back when you give him the ball. Like something is gonna happen, but you can't feed it to him 1 or 2 times one series and then don't go back to him enough. The man is like, when you got a running back like him, you got to get, now he is the guy you want to be lateral because he can make the moves on the outside. Throw him some swings, throw him some screens, let him get out in the open and do what he do. But trying to run zone and then hopefully letting Bar, like, because once Barry get past the D line, it's pretty much he's getting 5 or 6 yards guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like he's just big and fast and he's gonna get his yards. But what the zone read does is it opens up the pass game, because what it does when you're gashing them, it brings your safeties up. So once those safeties come up, now you can, you know what, I'm gonna act like I'm running the zone read and run the play action. Now I'm going RPO, or I'm throwing the RJ in the slot. I'm getting the ball to Seabass one-on-one out there on the receivers. And I know that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to connect with Seabass a lot. It just wasn't on. He just didn't have time to set and throw.
I wanted to say something about Saunier too. In this game, I don't know if, damn it, I got a train coming. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Just talking about Saunier in this game, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but this dude might be the best receiver in the Maple League, easy, and he only played 1 game. Like he was open most of the game.
A lot.
And
a lot.
And then I also want to jump on the other side and say that the guy guarding him, Eero Pekkarinen, might be the best cornerback in the league, because even though, I mean, he might have got beat, everybody gets beat. DBs know that.
Yeah.
But there were some plays where he's on Saunier like white on rice, but Saunier's still going to make the catch because Seabass is Seabass, right? But this matchup is probably the best matchup you're going to see from receiver and DB. And it went the way where I would call it a draw. I would say it was a draw. I would say that Eero won enough that Sebastian wasn't able to take over the game, but Sebastian won enough that you don't feel comfortable saying that Eero can just hold him the whole game.
Yeah.
But also going forward, they're not going to play anybody as good as Eero at cornerback.
Yeah.
I see that right now. Like, yeah, he wasn't open a couple times because he didn't have time, but also that's because, in my opinion, you're playing against the best secondary in the league. Nobody else is going to be this good at cornerback or on the back end or in the secondary scheme wise. Like, there's nobody you're going to face that's going to be able to hold him. So they're going to be able to connect that stuff later. But then again, it comes back to the number one question I've asked from the beginning of the season is, can you beat the Steelers? And right now, that won't beat the Steelers. As good as Sebastian is, he won't beat the Steelers. Last thing I'm going to say, because I know we've been talking about this too long, but y'all knew you knew every time. Y'all knew it was going to be a long when we talk about it. I still think that the Wolverines were the better team, but I do think the Steelers won the game and they deserve to win the game. But also, I agree that the Wolverines lost this game because they should have won it. But I found 3 plays that I feel like these 3 plays go the other way. Wolverines win by 2, Wolverines win at least by 1, but maybe 2 scores. RJ fumbles in the red zone. That's 7 points right there. That's a huge swing. That's a 10-point swing right there. And no knock on RJ, but he was trying. His effort is what caused him to do that fumble. So you don't feel bad that he fumbled, but again, bad timing.
Let me cut you right quick.
Go for it.
I'm gonna say this right quick. That play is another play of situational awareness, and I'm gonna explain to you why real quick.
Oh yeah, please do.
Why real quick. You're up 6-0 at this point. You're up 6-0. You make a great catch. You get some yards, but at a point, I know, and I told RJ this. I say, I know in your mind you were thinking muscle man. But what makes certain players better players is when you understand where you at in the game. You say, hey, I got everything I can get. Let me go down. Because now, hey, We got four downs to get in the end zone, and we go up 13-0. We go up 13-0. But the ego in us.
I'm glad you said ego, because that's exactly what I was thinking. That's straight ego.
The ego in us as football players are thinking, I'm finna take everybody on my back to the end zone. And by far, you gotta love the effort. But this isn't the first time that we've seen people give a little too much effort. And that sounds crazy, but it is, because, okay, now, fourth quarter, you're trying to win the game. I see that play happen all the time. But situational awareness, all right, I got my yards. Let me go down. Because now this pile is what happens when you get piles. There's somebody in there who's like, literally all he's trying to do is rip the ball out, because
his name is Colby Campbell. Campbell goes in there. Linebacker says, I'm not going to tackle him. I'm going to rip the ball.
I'm going to rip the ball out. And that's what you do. You create opportunities for plays like that to happen when you do too much. And I know RJ is killing him. It's going to kill him all week when you watch it, because he's like, I should have never fumbled the ball. And he should have went down. But the ego in us wants us to make plays like that, because you want to show your team or everybody else that, like, yo, I can do this. But really, a smarter play would have been, all right, I got the little yard saying, go down. You already in red zone.
That ego, though. That ego. I'm glad you said situational awareness, because that would be kind of like the intangible of why the Steelers won. A lot of reason, like I said, when I watch this game and I look at what happened, the Wolverines were the better team. But the things I can't explain is why the Steelers won this game. They didn't, in all honesty, they made less mistakes. Not saying that, they necessarily played better. They made less mistakes. When I talk about the 3 plays, the RJ fumble in the red zone, Hannes Haryu touchdown, and then Jabari throwing an interception late in the game on third down that he didn't have to throw.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 plays, if you flipped all 3 plays, they win by two scores. I take away a Steeler score, and I add a Wolverine score. Not to mention they milked the clock at the end instead of Jabari throwing the interception. And the biggest reason that these plays didn't go their way, I think it goes back to what you said about situational awareness. That fumble, that's a situation. That touchdown on a stop and go situation. Jabari throwing an interception that it was 4 down territory. You don't have to make that play, but that's not situational awareness. And I'm so sorry, but if you're listening, you have to know that we don't talk about our notes before the game, before we do this podcast. So when something like this happens, that it's obvious. If it's obvious to both of us, it's obvious to other people. And like the fact that, my notes line up with your situational awareness just lets you know that this game is what it was. This is what it would look like in the Maple Bowl. Like you have one team that is prepared for this type of game. You have one team that is not there yet. I'll give the Wolverines that, not there yet. And the hard thing about situational awareness is you have to be in those situations. And this can go back to, having a team full of new players who weren't on the team last year. So they haven't been in these situations together. So not necessarily know how it goes. Maybe somebody like RJ was thinking, I have to score because we might not. Because he doesn't have full trust or faith or knowledge in that offense, which I wouldn't be mad at him for saying that. We've talked about the situations where they got in the red zone and weren't able to put it in the end zone. The extra points that weren't made, that's red zone pretty much. That's goal line, which is where they would have been. So off of that history, we know they have no run game. So if he gets tackled at the 2, what do we think that the Wolverines really are going to do? Will's not getting in there. We've seen him get stuffed at the goal line. Jabari might get in, but if you make him go lateral,
But at least you got 4 plays to do it.
Agreed. Agreed. I'm just saying that's the type of confidence that you get over time with a team proving stuff together. Someone like RJ has played on teams where he's gotten those situations. He let the team handle it and they didn't handle their business. And this team is brand new. Like you said, a lot of moving parts. So there's a lot of trust that has to be earned. But I will say one last thing about the Wolverines. I'll end this positively on the Wolverines, even though they did lose the game. I know it's kind of backhanded compliment. If this is the team, if this is where y'all at right now, like honestly, whatever they do between now and the playoffs, I mean, we really just don't care. We really don't care like how the rest of these games go because this is the barometer and you've already played them twice. So you either play them again in the playoffs or you play them in the Maple Bowl. But if this is the team you take compared to that team you did the first time against them, you got a shot.
You got a better, they got a better chance.
That first game when all the players like, well, they only beat us by 15. I was ready to laugh at some of them. But if you come back to me after this game, I have nothing to say. Like, you could have won this game. I can't say that, oh, you would.
Yeah.
That first time they played, we never thought the Wolverines going to win. In this game, like I said, 3 situations, and it goes the other way. So for them, I really think that the only thing they have to do from now until the playoffs is build that trust as a team. Build on that. I think the play calling was okay. It wasn't great, but you were in the game. It's not. I don't think the play calling. I don't think the talent of the players. I don't think any of that kept them from winning. But I do think those situational plays kept them from winning, and those you can fix. Those are the mistakes you can fix. You make too many mistakes, but you can fix mistakes. So they don't have to like go out and get new players or do anything different. They can just work on who they are for the next, month and a half of the season. That's pretty. If you're going to lose, that's the best type of loss you can have. You know that the loss don't send you home from the playoffs, and it gives you a better picture of how to beat the team.
Yeah, I think everybody want to see this game again. I think everybody want to see.
I want to see it next week.
I definitely. It's like. And I know Corpio people probably be like, man, boy, you be picking against us and all this, right? But I respect Corpio. I really do. Like, I respect what they do. I respect the type of talent they have. I respect the everything, the players, the coaches. I respect all of them. But you have to have somebody that's like the other, the other guy.
Villain. There's got to be a villain, a superhero, and a villain.
It's like I guess what I'm saying is I want to see the greatness unfold in front of me. Like, I want to see them go to another level because I know what a dominant organization looks like. And I'm not saying that they can't be that. And that was my point when we was talking to Hakeem. Like, the dynasty part of this is in the dominant dynasty that I was expecting. But maybe that's me because I was expecting a dominant one. And it doesn't have to be dominant when you're winning. When you're just winning, it doesn't have to be dominant. Like, if you're winning, that's cool. But I think that these two teams match up so good now. They match up so good. Like, front seven, they by far the best D lines in the country are these two teams. By far.
I have no idea how we're gonna pick all stars because these two teams could be all stars by themselves.
On Wolverines and Corpio have some of the best front seven players, linebackers. D-line is crazy for these two teams. Crazy. So I love to see the battle up front that they have because it's so intense on both sides of the ball. It's so intense. Like, Hakeem is coming at Barry like every single play. Like, these dudes are coming. And the same thing on the Wolverine side. They're going at the Corpio quarterback the same way. They're coming.
Don't forget about Yanni Lindquist.
Exactly.
That old man out there. Y'all ain't gonna sleep on Yanni because Yanni be in the backfield.
They still got it. And it's like
tight end my ass. Yanni be in the backfield.
When you got two teams that's that stacked on defense, it's like you expect these games to be like this. So the offense is what makes the difference. But the Wolverines offense, sometimes to me, and this is just my opinion, it's sporadic. Sometimes to me, maybe because I'm not in the means, I don't know what they're trying to do sometimes. But I feel like with the roster that they have, this isn't if they get it to like if they really scheme it the right way, going into these next games, they could be unstoppable with Sebastian. Now, this is Seabass' first game back.
That's
First
crazy.
game back off an Achilles. Like, this is, like,
And he still looks faster than everybody
and
out there.
still looks faster than everybody out there.
Except for Tino and Dongo. I'm going to put that out there. I think Tino could probably run with him, but I don't think Tino could guard him.
Yeah, now that's a different. But like you say, I think when we see these teams, and life is going to let us see this game again. For some reason, I feel like
there's zero chance that we don't see them play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The real question is, will it be in the semis or the championship? And that honestly depends on the Wolverines.
Yeah.
If they actually, let's actually stop talking about it, because we'll actually talk about what that depends on in the next segment. Honestly, we will, because that's what's coming up.
Yeah, we good on this right here. The game is a game.
Yeah, we let it go. We out of here. Was it like 45 minutes on this one part? That's okay. That's okay. It was a good game, and we're glad to talk about it. Moving on from the win or loss, we're going to talk about the tough questions, and that's these upcoming games, which is super interesting. And before we even get to each one of them, I'm just going to lay it out what's happening. The Roosters play the Butchers. Roosters are in 4th, Butchers are in 5th. Crusaders play the Eagles. Crusaders are in 6th, Eagles are in 7th. Crocs play the Wolverines. Crocs are in 2nd, Wolverines are in 3rd. Everybody playing the team next to them, all through the Maple League. So that's what we got. We got a weekend that better be the best weekend of football ever, because all these games are very evenly matched. First game, let's talk about Roosters versus Butchers. You want to take Roosters or Butchers? We can each take one team. Let's do it that way.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Butchers.
Okay.
I think the Butchers need to make a decision. I think the Butchers need to surprise us with a win.
You think
I think they need to surprise us with a win. Because, and what I mean surprises, obviously, I think the Roosters are probably supposed to win a little bit by a little margin. But the Butchers have the capability to go up on the Roosters just like the Crusaders did, with probably even more talent on their offensive side of the ball. I think in order for the Butchers to make a run, to actually have a chance in the playoffs, they need a big win against a team like the Roosters or somebody else. It's gonna be interesting to see how Brandon Gwinner takes on this role against this team now. Like, I think he's gonna have one of those like out of body experiences. Like, he needs one of those where he's like running and throwing. Like, give me 3 pass touchdowns, 2 running touchdowns. Like, he's gonna need one of those games to get them to the next like level of play that they need to be at. So I don't know. I just feel it. I just feel something. I feel like Brandon Gwinner is going to have a good game, like a great game against them this time. Like, I don't know whether they win or not, but I think it's not going to go the way that maybe some people think it is. If that explains it.
I don't think that explains anything, but I also think that you can't explain it. I feel like this game might be the best barometer for the playoffs. You got 2 teams that are on the fringe. Obviously, whichever team wins is going to hop into 4th place. No matter what, whichever team wins is going to be in 4th place and have that 4th spot. And for the Roosters, my tough question would really be, can you beat a quality opponent? Roosters have 3 wins, 2 of them against the Crusaders and 1 of them against the Eagles. You ain't beat nobody. Like, how are we going to crown somebody? How are we going to say this is a playoff team? They ain't beat a playoff team yet. The Butchers technically are a playoff team right now. They're in 4th place. Can you beat a team that is supposed to be good compared to beating 2 bottom dwellers? That's all they've done. So my question is, can you beat a quality opponent? If they can do that, it's on and popping this weekend, this Thursday. And I will be in the building. Perfect Purpose will be in the building wearing my AFF gear. I'll be out there. See these Roosters and Butchers play. I'm going to this one. So the second game is the UNC Crusaders versus the Connecticut Eagles. Someone has to win the game. So which team you got a question for? Someone has to win the game. They can't both lose.
Oh man, who? Now this is it right here. Who wants to take, like? I feel like I don't want to say who I'm picking to win, but the question is,
who do you think is better? How about that? Because that might not be who you pick to win.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Who's a better team?
Right now, I think the Crusaders are better. I think the Crusaders are better.
But the Eagles have more potential.
Yeah, Eagles have more potential. But I think the Crusaders, I think right now, if they play right now, today, I think Crusaders win it. Just because they have a little more chemistry on offense than Coca does. Yeah, I think the Crusaders can score on anybody. I think they can literally score on anybody if they, I mean, they can. Let's just be honest. They can score on anybody. I don't believe Coca has that though. I don't believe they can score on anybody. So for me, UNC, this is your statement game. Honestly, like, hey, we've been fighting all year. We trying to get this. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, are you like, who's gonna be the biggest loser? In a way, it's like it sounds bad, but like we're not the last team. You know what I mean? Like it's a certain feeling of knowing that you're like, we could be worse. You know what I mean? So do you want to be that last team or not? And this is the game that's gonna like show it. Like this is where you can say we equally somewhat matched. We can go out here and actually have a legitimate chance to win the game if people don't really count us out of this game. So I think players can calm down when they know that the other team doesn't have any major strengths as far as like running back and where you just like know one person is really probably for to dominate and you got to deal with them. I think this is a game where they can come in with a clear head and say, hey, let's do this. Let's try to do this. Let's work on this. And actually the game will probably be pretty good. Honestly, I think this game will be pretty good. So it'll probably end up being a battle of the quarterbacks. And it'll be fun to see, like we know Nessie for to air it out. So Shay, what you gonna do with it? What you said gonna do with it? Because Nessie is definitely for to throw the ball.
That's for sure. I think I'm gonna ask a question to the Eagles, and I think for the Eagles it's a very simple question. Do you belong in the Maple League? That's what this game is going to show us, because we saw this team play against the Butchers, who I've just said are a legitimate playoff contender, technically a playoff team when they played each other. And that 10-0 lead, I mean, I've said it earlier in the show, it was fluky. It had a lot more to do with the fact that they gave the Eagles a lead more than the Eagles took the lead. And once the Eagles came back in the second half and the Butchers decided, okay, we're not going to play with you anymore, we're actually going to play football, that was the end of it. The Eagles never really had a chance. And pretty much every game we've seen the Eagles play this season, they've never looked like they were ever going to win the game. This was only this one game it looked like they might win, and it still didn't really look like they were like supposed to win. So this is one of those games where Crusaders have more talent. Like, that's undeniable. They have more talent, a better talent than what the Eagles have. But I don't believe they have a better team, chemistry, atmosphere, players playing for each other because they're family and friends. These are guys that know each other for the Eagles. You bring back Nessie, that hometown heroes, I guess what we're going to call them now. This is a game where I don't need them to win. I don't need the Eagles to win this game, but I do need them to be in this game for all four quarters. If you can play against the Crusaders, I feel like the Crusaders' talent will eventually catch up with you. You're going to get in one-on-one situations where you just can't win. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Good luck, Valio, trying to guard Cedric Johnson. Like, good luck. I mean, if you can, you can, but I don't think you can, but good luck. If you do, you do. That'll be really good for y'all, but you can't do it every time. It's not possible. Eventually, the dam will break. It will burst. But if the Eagles can just stay in this for 4 quarters, give it a run, make it a game that the Crusaders can't just out-talent them the entire game, that's all you got to prove, is that you at least belong on the same field as them. But if they come out there and they let the Crusaders wipe their ass with them, there's no love lost, man. Y'all take y'all ass back to D1 where you belong. Like, it is what it is. Like, there'll be no chance. Because if you beat the Crusaders team, I still feel like I don't want to say this too much, but I still feel like the Roosters are a team that you could slip up on if they have them again. I think they do play the Roosters again, though. I'm trying to look at the roster. Yeah, they do play the Roosters again. So I'm just saying, you don't have to win this game. Obviously, you want to, but you don't have to win this game. But you do need to prove that you can play with these teams. And this is the worst team that you can prove it with. So if you can prove it with this team, we give you some slack on the rest of them and say, at least you're not horrible. Because right now, I'm having a really hard time explaining to people all over Europe why there's a team giving up 80 points in games. Actually, I think why there's 2 teams, because didn't the other team give up 82? But I can explain the Crusaders one now. I can explain that, they had a rough patch. I can't really explain the Eagles. I can't explain it yet. Still having a rough patch. But let's get to the last game, where we have the Crocodiles, who are in seed number 2, ranked number 2 right now, second place, versus the Wolverines, who are ranked number 3 right now. And in this game, what's your question for the Wolverines? Because I know that's who you're talking to.
All right, where do we go from here? Where do you go from here? Now it's lock-in time. Like, are you ready to lock in now? And pretty much is like, where is your ceiling?
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what this offense can do yet fully. We don't know what they can do yet fully. We know they can score quick, and they can score against, mediocre DBs and stuff like that. But like, we need a consistency. Like, are you ready to be consistent? Are you ready to go into this latter part of the season with your offense clicking? Understanding situations, like, watch the film. I'd love to do a film study with them. I would love to.
Let me ask a question. Just to rant, because when you're talking about it, outside of the Steelers, the Wolverines haven't played anybody yet either, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all they know is this is what we look like against the best team, and this is what we look like against the shitty
against
teams.
Everybody else. Yeah. So my thing, the main question is, where do we go from here for the Wolverines? Because we're at some point, you're gonna have to show us.
This is it.
You're gonna have to show us now. So you got everybody back that you needed to have back. Your team is pretty much ready to go. I'll give you the Steelers game because it was the first time the new guys and everybody played together, but you don't have time to, practice that much to get ready. So they're going to have to do something very, very, quick and serious to like make this team to be as strong as we expect. Because like you said a long time ago, it's basically make a bowl or fail.
Yep.
So they got to ask themselves that same question, like, what do we go from here? So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and for the Crocodiles, I would say, damn it, I had the question too. For the Crocodiles, I would say, are you Maple Bowl contenders? I'm not asking if you're a playoff team. I don't care. I think you are. I think everybody knows that. This is 2 versus 3. Similar to what we said about we might see the Wolverines and the Steelers play again. Let's just win or lose. You're still gonna be 2 or 3. Like, if you win, you're 2. If you lose, you're 3. Either way, y'all are gonna most likely have to play each other a second, maybe a third time. I don't know the schedule. Let me take a quick look to see if they play each other later in the season. I don't think so. Crocodiles, Crusaders, Crocodiles, Wolverines, Crocodiles, Eagles, Crocodiles, Crusaders, Crocodiles. They do play each other again in August.
Yeah.
But again, my question would still be: Are you a Maple Bowl contender, not a Maple playoff contender? This is a game. They're not the Steelers. That goes for both these teams. They're not the Steelers, but they're also not the Eagles. They're not UNC. They're a legitimate contender for the Maple Bowl. So the Crocodiles, we don't hear a lot about, the Crocodiles are the second best team. Well, they're in second place. How'd they get there? We don't know how they got there, but we'll find out if they deserve to be there by beating the Wolverines. And if they don't beat the Wolverines, they slide into third place. They slide into where most of us thought they were going to be before the season, right? Everybody was like, Crocs might make playoffs, be the 4 seed. Okay, they might be the 3 seed because the Roosters aren't playing that good this year. And of course, then we got to think about the Butchers and all that. But if they go out here and they beat the Wolverines, that's a statement. It's a statement that they're the second best team, not the Wolverines, who everybody has pretty much crowned as, the Maple Bowl participants to play against the Steelers. Us included, we've all pretty much said that the Wolverines are the team that should be there. But if the Crocodiles come out and do their thing, I'm willing to change that and say that the Crocodiles are number 2 team. So that's what you got to prove in this game is, are you a Maple Bowl contender? And I'll be honest, I don't see it, but that's just me. Obviously, we haven't seen them play in a couple of weeks, so they're not fresh on our mind. But we did just see the Wolverines play, so they're more fresh. But I've always thought during the season that the Crocodiles are good, but don't play up to their potential. And I think that in this game, if they don't play up to their potential, the Wolverines can out-talent them. I don't think the Wolverines are going to play up to their potential either, but I do think the Wolverines have a ridiculous amount of talent, especially when it comes to the fact that the Crocodiles secondary is just not good.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Crocs haven't signed more people. But when you're in the situation you're in, you slid in the second place.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm not upset at them. I feel like they're in a perfect situation, especially still in that win away from the Butchers that helped them out so much. But now it's push or shove now because first of all, this game, if y'all are going to be playing each other again next month, this game is a film game. Win or lose, whatever works, you can expect that the other team is going to know how it works by next time you play each other. So it's like, do you show everything if you're in second place? You only got 1 loss. Because even if you lose, you go to third place and then you still have to play them next month. Or do you go out there and say, hey, we need to let AFF and Perfect Purpose them know we here to win it.
Yeah, I think the Crocs want to win because obviously if it boils down to it, that second and third gonna matter because that trip.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Seinäjoki, Helsinki. Ooh. Yeah. And you know how Helsinki players are too. If you get a far enough game, some of them just not coming.
Yeah.
Gotta go to work.
Yeah.
So Maple League teams back in action on Thursday with Roosters versus Butchers. Then Crusaders and Eagles play on Saturday. And the Crocodiles and Wolverines play the final game on Sunday. Our panel of football enthusiasts will pick winners from this week's games on our Instagram account at American Football in Finland. Feel free to find us in the comments with your thoughts. Right now, the rankings are in first place, tied for first, Chris Green, 17-1. Finland Swami is also 17-1. And then third place, Spencer Cutland is 16-2. In fourth place, Perfect Purpose, myself, I'm 15-3. And then last, bringing up the rear, out there taking chances, is Coach Q at 13-5. I got to be honest. I do specifically say football enthusiasts. None of us consider ourselves experts, and pick 'em is really hard to do. But shoot, we're pretty goddamn good overall. I mean,
bad though.
I mean, 13-5 is that's not even horrible, honestly. And I'm at 15-3, and then we got 2 people like
17-1. Easy.
Yeah, and we in some of these games, like that first Butchers versus Crocs game, that easily could have went the other way.
Yeah.
This last game that we just saw, that could have went the other way. Like we could have been wrong a lot more often than we are. So I feel good about that. Look good, play good. It's as simple as that. And Reyrr Athletics will help you look good in their fully customizable team uniforms. Made by players, for players. Reyrr Athletics produces high-quality uniforms for teams all over Europe. Reyrr also allows teams to design custom apparel for comfortable travel and workout purposes. Visit Reyrr.se today to take your team to the next level. Stay sharp. That's it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Hope it was worth the listen. Q, any last words before we get out of here?
Man, the only last words I got for these guys is to all these players, man. Look here, like Purvis just said, we're not experts. We're just guys that used to play football. Some of us are All-Americans. Some of us won championships in Maple League. Some of us is just played football, man. So we know what we're talking about for the most part. So it's never no hate. It's never no, we just giving our opinion. And you can always turn off the episode if you don't like it. But my thing is, if you don't want to be talked about, then just make plays. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you don't criticize you, then do what you're supposed to do, ball out for your team, and get those W's. That's the only thing I ask of y'all, because that's all I'm expecting. Now, when you playing great, I'm gonna hold you up there. But if you playing bad, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna hold you accountable for that too. And it don't matter if we friends. It don't matter if we met before, if I coached you before, if I ever met you before. All I want to see you do is win. And that's if I never met you or anything. I just want to see players get better. I want to see you develop. And at the end between that, we just so happen to have a show where we get to critique whether or not you do. So it's nothing personal. It's just we want to see American football in Finland, give you guys the best show possible, give you the best information possible, and just keep this thing going, because we like watching the games, we like being a part of it. But my thing is, if you want to be talked about in a proper manner, do what you got to do. Shut the haters up, shut the media up, just win. Do what you're supposed to do. But I'm not going to give you credit if you're not doing anything. If you're sitting on there, if you're hanging on to a coattail, I'm never going to mention it if you're hanging on to a coattail. But if you're out there and you providing for your team and you balling for your team, hey, kudos to everybody. I love all the Maple League teams. I love all the coaches, everybody, all the players. I just want to see y'all win. So I just want to throw that out there. So I came to dream. Mainly you, I came to dream. You better chill out with that clown emoji. You better chill out with that clown emoji. You can, thousands of emojis you can use, and y'all in one play less, it could have went the other way. But no, I'm just talking north. That's my guy though. But yeah, I'm just looking forward for the rest of the season, man.
I just want everybody to know that Q speaks for himself and himself only. Me,
Exactly.
me, I don't care. You can be great. I'm gonna find that one play that you weren't great, and I'm gonna let everybody on the podcast know about it, because that's the type of person I am. Purvis gonna keep it 100 with you at all times, and I'm not gonna ignore you. I'm gonna put your name out here on the podcast, let everybody know about you. Shout out to RJ Long, because you fumbled in the red zone, my guy. I just want y'all to know that as professional and great as Q is going to be about everything, I will be the opposite, so that we have that yin and yang going for y'all. So keeping that at 100. But on the real tip, though, we do enjoy the engagement. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to send us a message, send us a message. Even if you never met us or you never talked to us, send us a message. We respond. We'll talk back to you. If you don't know who we are, at Perfect Purvis on Instagram, at Coach Q on Instagram, or just send something to at American Football in Finland. We check those messages as well. We really enjoy people giving us feedback. Same thing goes for players and coaches on the teams. Guys, a lot of the information we have, coaches reach out to us, players reach out to us and tell us, hey, you were wrong. And then we come back and say, hey, we were wrong. Like, this is actually what they were doing. You know, we're going off of what information we have, but if you can help with that information, help. It only makes the show better, which makes American football in Finland better, because a lot of people are listening to this show on a weekly basis to understand what's going on out here. And that's pretty much what we enjoy doing. That's our passion. That's why we consider ourselves enthusiasts, not experts, because we're not trying to tell people how or what to do. We're trying to give out as much information as possible. And that the only thing we can do with that is to share it with each other. So definitely feel free to stay in contact with us. It's the longest last words we've ever had. But that's that. If you enjoy the show, please follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to rate us 5 stars as well. Anything less tells us you are a hater. You can follow us on the Gram and Facebook at American Football in Finland. By following us on all channels, you'll have a chance to win football merch provided by our sponsors at Reyrr Athletics. Be sure to follow the instructions in the episode description below. Until next time, never forget.
T.
I.
F.
We go.
There we go.
American football in Finland.